Alrighty. Oh, it's in another box. God damn it. Slip one. And a bunch of freebies. There it is. I know this is primarily a music channel and it's never been a LEGO channel, and I'm not turning it into a LEGO channel. However, I very much have been a fan of LEGO all my life, although my interest in the product has oscillated over the past few years, and I am working on a video talking about it. However, in the spirit of May 4th, and as big as a Star Wars fan as I've been over the past several years, I decided I would bite the bullets and buy the new Jango Fett's Starship, or the Slave One, as it's more commonly known by. I have not purchased a LEGO set in a very long time, and this is the first big set I have purchased probably since the UCS A-Wing back in 2020, if my memory serves. So I think building a big detailed starship is something that has been overdue for quite a while. I do find these builds to be very therapeutic and enjoyable. That being said, I do think the consumer culture around LEGO and especially Star Wars has been rampant over the past few years, and that is the subject of the video that I'm working on. But today we're going to be a little bit more positive, and I'm going to share my experience building the Jango Fett's Slave One. I know it's technically called the Starship, and Disney doesn't use the word slave anymore, which kind of understand, but at the same time I think it is a little ridiculous. I do also think it is a little bit ridiculous, the outcry and the severity people make of it. It's always going to be the Slave One to Star Wars fans. The name is not going to go away, even if Disney tries to make it go away. So it really doesn't bother me too much that they refer to it as Starship. It's just the name on the box, and technically the plaque, but that's another conversation. Side note, I do want to point out, I do have the Boba Fett Slave One that I got back in 2015 that is packed away in storage right now. I do prefer Boba Fett over Jango Fett, and I do like having a more niche style build. Obviously, when you look up Slave One, it's mostly the Boba Fett one that people remember, so I do like having the nicher colors, and I am very excited to have a Jango Fett Slave One. I think the last time we had one was back when Attack of the Clones came out, so I'm very excited to build this. With May 4th, LEGO did also give out some free promos. We have the Camino training facility and the Millennium Falcon polybag. I really don't care for either of these sets, the minifigs nor the build do anything for me here, so I'm going to sell this one on eBay. Not sure for how much it's going for, but I'm sure I can recoup some of the cost because this thing was expensive. I'm also going to throw the Millennium Falcon polybag up there. I can't imagine this is going to sell for more than a couple dollars, but I don't want it. They also threw in the Slave One keychain. I may keep this one depending on how much it's going for, just because it kind of ties into the Slave One that I purchased. If it's selling for more than $20, I'll probably just throw it on there because I'm not going to put this on my keys or anything. But yeah, let's dive right into the Slave One. Okay, so I listed these two items on eBay for $49.99 with free shipping. With best offer on, that's about what these are going for right now. So we'll see if they sell or if I get any offers. Gonna break this open, and I have a few DVDs to watch here as I build. We have a Maryland Death Fest DVD. We have a Henry Rollins Shock and Awe Tour, spoken word. And we have Danzig Archive de la Muerte. This is a little collection of music videos and whatnot from the How the Gods Kill, Deaf American, Thrall Demon Sweat era. So yeah, looking forward to watching these as I build this. I'm only gonna be able to get the first couple of bags done today because I'm going to a show in a few hours. It is currently 4:15 and I'm leaving around 6 o'clock. But that's okay because these builds are supposed to be enjoyable and you build them at your own pace. Oh boy. And we have a massive amalgamation of a set. You can see a little Boba Fett in there. A bit of controversy with Boba Fett. People say it doesn't look screen accurate, and they're not exactly wrong. I'll be switching them up a little bit. So I'm about to start my Danzig extravaganza here, but here is the new Jango Fett, and I have to say it's pretty cool. I know some people have questioned the jetpack. I do remember him having two jetpacks in Attack of the Clones, so I'm not 100% sure if the gunmetal is an accurate color, but I have an Aerialites one that I'm going to swap for anyway, so it's not a big deal to me. I also completely forgot that they gave him a new rangefinder, and you do get a couple of extra ones in here, so I may throw that on a couple of other minifigures in my collection once I dig them out of storage. You also do get a hairpiece if you want to put the hair on him, which is always a nice inclusion. But yeah, we're going to start some Danzig here, and we're going to get building. Okay, and it is a few days later, and I have completed the UCS Slave 1, and I will say, it is an absolutely fantastic model. And I actually think the integrity of the ship itself actually feels a bit stronger, as in when I pick this thing up, it doesn't actually feel like it's going to fall apart at all unless, I throw it like a baseball, but it feels very well built. It feels very structured. You can swoosh it around if you're into that kind of stuff. It feels really good. I also do like the back with the seismic charge a lot, even though that is completely stickered, which was very annoying to apply. I think it is a cool feature because the other one didn't have that, and I think it was an integral part of the Slave 1 in the Star Wars universe. So that was a really cool touch, and I love how you can take the doors and you could close it up. Jump cut, and I love that you can move the doors and close the sort of seismic charge bay if you do so please. However, my favorite new feature on the set is the opening and closing door mechanism found on the base of the Slave 1. You just push down on this panel and the door opens up, and then you just push back on the panel up here and it closes back up and the panel rises, which I think is super cool. A very simplistic mechanism, but I think it's something that's long overdue on the UCS model. The original one, you just kind of had to pull the door back and forth. This one is definitely far superior, and I think it's very sleek and just looks really well done. I also think that the cavity sort of in here with the wings is done much better. This time it kind of looks enclosed and it's more rooted in there, as opposed to the other one where it's just kind of the wing itself and then a couple of slopes on the side. This one looks a more 360 and just looks a lot better. The cockpit is also a major improvement on the last one. With the last model, you could only fit one minifigure in there, which is in the driver's seat. This one, not only can you pull out the main part of the cockpit to put other figures in there, but you can also have 2 extra seats there to put figures in. And even though you only get 2 figures in the set, if you have extras in your collection that you just want to put in there for whatever reason, you can go ahead and do that, and the main cockpit will slide in perfectly fine. When you're not using mid-leg figures, the cockpit will slide in perfectly fine, which is a very cool detail. With all that being said, I do have a few complaints about this set that I believe are worth addressing. One is with the ship itself, and that is that the weapons that were originally on the 2015 model don't actually open anymore and show. They're just kind of locked in place. You can't open the doors or anything, so that's a bit of a bummer. Same goes for the nose of the Slave 1. I did watch Attack of the Clones as I was building the set, which, side note, terrible movie. Anyone who says otherwise is just trying to cope. She falls in love with a guy after he brutally murders an entire village of men, women, and children. Make it make sense, George, but the Jango Fett subplot was great. In the asteroid field scene of Attack of the Clones, when he's chasing after Obi-Wan, the side panels of the nose of the Slave 1 opens up and rockets come out. That is not present at all in this model, which, given that it is a $300 model and, they're trying to pack in as much detail as they could, I definitely think that should have been included. It is a very narrow nose, and this is supposed to be a display model over a play model, contrary to what LEGO means. So I don't know if that's something they sacrifice for the aesthetic purpose of this set, but it's something worth mentioning. I don't think it takes too much away from the model. I think it is still phenomenal either way, but again, worth mentioning. My next complaint comes with the minifigs, which I'll get into the reasons why. We'll start off with Jango Fett, which I believe is the one that they needed to get right more so than Boba Fett, and I think they did do a phenomenal job. The Jango Fett minifigure looks absolutely fantastic. I have changed him up a little bit. I added on a custom jetpack as well as a couple of Brick Arms pistols. The pistols they gave him in the set are perfectly fine. They're the ones they've used for years, and I don't expect them to change. However, the jetpack is kind of where the issues with this minifigure arise. In the past, they've done a silver model, so I don't know why they couldn't just give him a silver jetpack instead of going with a gunmetal color, which is not accurate to either of his jetpacks in Attack of the Clones. It's an easy fix. You can buy a cool custom one for just a few dollars, but when you're paying $300 a set, I don't understand why they couldn't just give you the right color. I also think that one of his 2 heads should have had a headset, given that the only time we see him piloting the Slave 1 in the movie, he is wearing a headset. Most people, myself included, are going to be displaying this guy with the helmet on, so it's not too much of a big deal, but they had to design a new face print anyway, so I don't really understand why they couldn't just print that on. Despite my minor gripes with the face print and the jetpack, I do think this is a fantastic figure. Definitely the best Jango Fett we've ever gotten, and I absolutely love that new rangefinder. You do also get a few extra rangefinders in this set, which I already went ahead and put on some other minifigures. Here we have Captain Rex and Boba Fett. And then the other minifigure that has been getting a fair amount of criticism, rightfully so, is Boba Fett, which they just went with some completely inaccurate looks for. The first thing they did was give him some sand blue arms, which is, again, easy fix. As you can see, I've done here. I gave him what I believe is the right color, but you're paying $300 for a set. I don't understand why they couldn't just give him the better color. They've done so on past Boba Fett's in the past, so it doesn't make too much sense. Same deal goes for the hairpiece. They went ahead and used this one, which just doesn't look good at all. I definitely think the one that they've been using for the past few models is just much better. So I went ahead and made those changes. Again, they are very easy to make. They're not expensive at all. You can get these parts for just a couple of dollars. But again, $300 for a set. I think it is worth pointing out that it should have been this way to begin with. And again, I sound like a broken record right now, but given the price of the set, I definitely think they should have included the dual molded legs with the blue and black boots. I just think it would have looked a lot better. If this was a Playscale Slave one, I probably wouldn't be bringing this up, but given that this is an adult collector's set, which is very expensive, I think that the dual molded legs, especially with these short legs, and that they've done them recently with other minifigures, would have been well justified. So Boba Fett came with a lot of problems. Some of them were fixable, and when you make those changes, I think it goes to being an okay minifigure. I think the printing could have been a little bit different. I think the belt is inaccurate, but overall, for the 2 minifigures you get in the set, if you're willing to make the necessary changes, I think you can do a lot with them. That being said, Jango Fett was already good enough on his own. But besides those 3 complaints that I have, and one of them really is subjective, I don't think it's going to ruin the build for a lot of people. I think this is an absolutely fantastic set. This is my first big LEGO Star Wars set in almost 5 years, so maybe I'm just overexcited to build something this big again. But even with all the detailing and upgrades that went into this thing, I think it's hard to say that this isn't a great LEGO Star Wars set. If you really like Attack of the Clones for some reason, or you're just a big Jango Fett fan in general, I would highly recommend picking this thing up if you've been in the market for a Jango Fett Slave 1, because we're probably not going to get another one for a very, very long time. Thank you guys for watching. As always, take care of yourselves, and may the Force be with you. Goodbye.